on mine. There we go. All right. Welcome back, everyone, to Aces53, Ed Parcaut and myself. Tuesdays, it's usually just Ed and I. And Thursdays, some days like today, it is just Ed and I. Other times, we're bringing in a special guest we call a Joker. This week, we're moving them to next week. So we've got a few lined up that were kind of fun. But today, we're keeping it short and sweet. Just going to be Ed and I. So how you doing today, Ed?
Good. Did you go live on Instagram yet?
Oh, good point.
I totally forgot.
I did now. You shush your mouth.
Anyway, yeah. So that whole counting down for like they do on TV didn't work for you because I was not even seeing the countdown button. So I
didn't see it either. It just said live. I'm like, okay.
That's how it usually does. We don't have one of those because sometimes you have on and through StreamYard you can do a countdown to start, but not really on a live.
Yeah,
that's just a show. Yeah,
just when you're
like Loom. Yeah.
All
right. I'm tired this week, man.
I'm the same way, but mine is just residual, like residue from, I went to that funeral this past weekend and I had to get up at like 4 a.m. to get the 6 a.m. flight back. And then I just flew back in from Colorado yesterday. And the problem was I was on Colorado time, so I couldn't fall asleep last night. So I slept in big time.
It's an hour difference.
It's an hour difference. I left Friday to go to Nebraska, was there, didn't get a whole lot of sleep, wasn't the best hotel, then back here, did laundry and went right back to the airport. And then just my sleep schedule's messed up, but I slept until like 9:30 today. And the only reason I woke up is I was like, oh crap, I got a call at 9:30. So I've been on calls since then, but I didn't get my cold plunge in today. I haven't done jack. I know life is hard.
Oh my God. No cold plunge.
I know. I haven't got to do it since, I guess I did it before I went to the airport on Monday morning, but I did. Denver was kind of fun and then creepy in a way because I was literally on a train, taking the train from Denver airport to downtown Denver when I saw the whole video about what happened on a train. And I was there thinking like, you just don't know this day and age where it's going to be. But going away from that, because that's just not the best subjects with what's going on in the world this week.
Well, the subject is we just need to get along again. Okay. Yes. I took it. This is just like, he was a major person in the young youth vote and people understanding, being able to talk to him about different things. I don't care if you liked him or didn't like him. He never yelled at you. He always had the conversation and he always was calm and cordial and everything. It wasn't an ass. And I think this is going to affect the younger generation enough to where they're going to make some changes going forward. It's almost, I know Martin Luther King was way bigger, but that's kind of the effect I think it's going to have.
So you're talking about the Charlie Kirk thing that happened yesterday. I was talking about the subway incident where the girl got stabbed to death in the neck.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was the day before.
Yeah. So that's when I was on the train. So I was on a train and then that video came out and it just was one of those things. I'm thinking, what would happen if I was on a train? And you look around and you don't know who's on a train.
First of all, they're not going to look at you to do it to you because you're a guy. They're looking for somebody they can easily attack.
But did you see in that video, nobody stopped him after it happened? And that's what I was
thinking. That was because it was in New York, right?
I don't know.
I think it was. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to get into the whole, but that's the whole Daniel Penny thing where he stood up and then he was tried for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
And that's the problem where when you do that and try to make things political, it messes with everybody and we need to stop it. And so I'm going to, the thing about communication, we need to have good communication back and forth. I say it on my radio show. I always talk about, I think most of us are in the middle. There's just those little fringes on the outside that are so loud that we just ignore them and walk away. Well, we need to, I don't want to say stand up, but this is not an answer for anything.
Agreed.
No.
Everything, like you said, conflict, when we grew up, and not everything was perfect, right? The difference was you could agree to disagree on a lot of things. And now it's either you're with me or against me. And I don't know what started such a divisive way to look at everything.
I do, but we won't get into it because that's not my radio show on a talk radio show station. I know exactly where it changed and where it went off the rails and why it was done that way. And that's something that we can have another conversation some other time. But what I'm getting at is, if that was the way it is, the way I do my podcasting, I would always have a problem because people go, you don't let people get away with anything, Ed. You know, they say something and you go back and ask them about it and certain things because that's how it's supposed to be. I'm asking questions. I'm curious why you did it and sort of thing. I had a guy on Enter Edison yesterday and he was from Tijuana to Boardroom. by the time he was 28. And so I wanted to know more about his background, because I think we're all how we grew up, and that kind of puts us in a certain way or another. You can have twins in the same household. One goes this way and the other one goes the complete opposite. And they both say it's because I was raised this way, but I wanted to understand how he was raised and everything, and come to find out strong grandmother, strong mom. And she had made it to where he thought he was going to be okay in any room, and boardroom, you name it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and there's a parable for anybody who's never heard it of. There was two twins or two brothers that grew up with an alcoholic dad, and one was highly successful and he never drank anything else. And they said, well, why were you that way? And he said, because my dad was an alcoholic. Right. And then the other one was a full-blown alcoholic. They're like, well, why are you this way? He's like, because my dad was an alcoholic. Right. And it's how people interpret it and make those changes. Of some people, Rene Rodriguez, the guy whose book over here, Amplify Your Influence, he talks about some people in life are lighthouses and that they guide you the right way. And some are foghorns, and that is they're danger, and you want to get away from them, right? Like it's a different way you want to go. But it is interesting because a lot of it is, they always say there's three sides, right? There's what I see, what you see, and then there's the truth. And so everything is about perception.
Mm-hmm. And it truly is, and how you're raised and everything else. Because I interviewed a guy on Helping the Brave, and he was talking about the racism in the military, and I'm like, we had a great conversation about it, because I had no idea. I know that it's out there, but I don't. Yes, when I get pulled over, I don't like to get pulled over, but it's not the same. I don't have the same worries that other people do.
Right. Yeah. And it's hard because, what do you do? So like what I try and teach my daughter to do right now is to walk up to officers and say, thank you for your service. Mm-hmm. Right. And does that mean that every officer is good? Absolutely not. No, but I want to raise her now where she's looking to see it as a positive now. And then if she has a different experience later, that'll be a different way. Right. But it's trying to keep things positive and then let them make their own negative determinations if there is one, right. If that makes sense.
Totally. And that's because they get painted with a broad brush of how bad everybody is. There is 1% of anything that is bad. Mortgage brokers or, lenders, you name it. There's 1% of them. Yeah. The facial recognition guys, 1% of them are really bad. They get it totally wrong.
They're all evil.
Doctor, attorneys, whatever. But it's like, you don't say we say all attorneys are bad, but doctors are all bad. No, you're going to have, that's why they have malpractice insurance.
Exactly.
They make mistakes. People make mistakes, and we just need to move on, but we need to be understanding to each other. And I hope this brings us together. But I have a feeling that it's going to bring the younger people out more to vote and do other things that they weren't really going to do in the past. And have a better look at understanding both sides. And that's all I want people to do. Same with what we're talking about when we're doing business, the communication and what we're trying to get to people. And, that information is important. And if you can't have the conversation and trying to understand people, then that's a problem.
Conversation is a lost art. That there's no question about it. We just live in a day and age where people want to isolate. And unfortunately, with algorithms coming out, all it does is feed you your own cognitive bias. And that is whatever the algorithm figures out is your mindset. It just feeds you more of that. And it doesn't matter which side of the fence you're on. That's what you get fed. And then your world gets smaller. And that's where technology sometimes hurts us, because we don't even get exposure to other people's opinions. We're getting reinforced on our existing opinion, which just deepens it on so many people. That's why you and I've talked about this before. Go to events outside of your industry, because you may learn things from other industries that aren't yours. I spoke to a group that does tax software and tax services for corporations. And I was given my talk, I referenced like an RV dealership, and this couple that came in, they're like, well, you should have made it about our clients. I said, well, I get that. But you also want your people to think sometimes, because they're so deep into their own industry, they don't get it. But when you use an external example or resource, then they're like, it clicks. So you need to get out of your own circle of friends, go to and this is not religious. I'm just saying, go and attend a different church, go and attend, go to a movie you wouldn't want to see, go attend something that would be out of your wheelhouse just to gain a different perspective. So here in Dallas, there's, tons of churches everywhere. You can pick it, or you could go to a non-denominational where every week they teach you about a different religion, or let's say I'm not into pickleball, but I could go and try and figure out why people are so obsessed with pickleball. It's just exposure to getting wider groupthink instead of locking down and only surrounding yourself with people who think exactly like you do.
Well, since we're talking about thinking, how people think, when Alex Hermosi did his thing the other day, whenever it was a couple weeks, some people like, he just made so much right now. And then I listened to Alex, I listened to Qasim the other day, and he was talking about, no, he finally got paid after 7 years.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's the difference. And that's how people look at how successful somebody is or how well they did something right now, but they don't look at all the time that they put into it to get to that point. And they don't care how you got there. They only care that you're there. That's all that, or whatever.
Yeah. What they call it. They don't see the practice in private. And it's the same for everything. We see, an actor on stage, we see a final cut of a film, but you don't see memorizing the lines and the screw ups and everything else. Or you go see a comedian, you don't see them going to local comedy bars, testing out jokes to see if they land or if they suck. You just see the final product. And that's exactly it. Somebody said that Alex was spending $75,000 a month on social media with zero money back in for 3 years.
I want. So, yeah. A lot of people, what money do you get back on social media unless you're doing ads?
Hard to tell. Yeah.
I mean, that's, but he just gave stuff away. I don't know if you've seen Qasim's group now on School. He has a free group. Yeah. A free community to join.
Oh, send it to me.
It's on Facebook.
Okay. I'll go look it up then.
I'll find, because you're asking me to find it now.
Yeah,
I saw it. Just go to Qasim's page and you'll find
I'll do it right now while we're talking. You contact it.
But I mean, so I joined it, and he's giving away all his stuff that he learned. So it took 10 minutes. I'm just kidding. But one thing, what I liked about it is now I have the School app, and the other thing I hate about it is I constantly get stuff now because I didn't know I joined somebody else's community a while back, and now I'm getting all the notifications on my phone that there's people have done stuff. But he's gone live in School.
Yeah.
And
I found it.
Yeah. Because you got to ask to be in it. So
yeah,
but I haven't really utilized it, but it's just, it's Qasim, so it can't be bad.
Agreed. Well, we'll get, if it sucks, you can just make fun of him here in 2 weeks when we go to see him.
Yeah. He the last time I saw him, he gave me so much crap back and forth, and he's like, "Damn, Steve Sims."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm trying to think what else I was going to bring up. I mean, obviously, this has just been a weird week for people all the way around. What I do worry about is those type of events that took place this week is what leads to, again, people unfriending people who don't have the same opinion as them. And I agree. There's some reasons to unfriend people. Like, nobody should be celebrating anybody's death one way or the other.
No, because there was too many people who done, and they're idiots. At least one of them got fired from their job. And then that stuff on the news about how we don't know if it was one of the people in the audience is going off. Give me a freaking break.
Yeah, no, I saw that. Social media was meant to share, like, hey, here's what's going on in my life. Here's the positive things. And I just saw some people taking advantage of a situation just so that they could feel seen and heard and make some ridiculous statements on both events. Right. And it just blows my mind. I'm like, okay, this is not what social media was meant for. But I do worry it's people are going to isolate more and more. And it started like, you used to watch the news every once in a while. And that's why I think the funniest tongue-in-cheek thing is Anchorman 2 makes fun of how jacked up the news is now, because once they started doing news 24 hours a day, they needed to capture people's attention versus, it used to be when I was growing up, the news in the morning, and then 10 o'clock at night was the following news. And that was it. But now there's so much news to do throughout the entire day that it's just comical.
Yeah. So I thought the social media was for catching Karen taking the ball away from a kid.
Yeah, who would have thought that was supposed to be the worst event of the week, and that one was a whole other one. Because I watched people.
I guess she got banned now. She can't go back to a game.
Oh, really? I didn't catch that part.
Again, this social media, so who knows what's real?
Yeah,
and that's why I don't like consuming social media. I try to consume only.
Avoided it, but most people's responses were one of two. One was like, she did have the ball; it was her right, and then another one,
it was on the ground. She did not have it.
I'm just saying what people saw and what they
whoever gets to it first.
Right. And then other ones were the guy should have stood up and told her no. And then other people said, no, the guy did what was right. And that is he showed his son that sometimes it's futile to argue with idiots. But the happiest thing that I saw about it was not what happened with their interaction, but how the sports team handled it after they saw that interaction. Right. So they saw the kid, they saw the ball get taken away from him. So they came out and made a big deal And I guess it was his birthday also. So they came out, they gave him all kinds of things from the teams. And I guess both teams came out to support the kid. And that was the best thing to come out of it. It was a bad situation, but the sports team saw it and thought, we need to fix this. And so they handled it on their own. Now, it happened to be caught on social media and everything else, but good sports teams will do stuff like that. So my sister, before they had the nets in hockey right around the top, my sister got hit in the head with a rogue puck that went over the glass, smacked her here. Now, of course, all your tickets say, hey, we're not liable. It's at your own risk. But they ended up, she had to go to the emergency room. She had to have stitches, all this kind of stuff. And the team felt bad. They're like, hey, it happens, but how can we make this right? And they let her come back with her husband and sit in the penalty box and watch the Stars. Like, they got to take pictures with them. They got to go out on the ice. They got to sit in the penalty box and watch them practice. So the teams can do things to make things right. But I was almost going to laugh and do a post about like this. It's dangerous to go to any concert or sporting event this day and age because you don't know what's going to happen. So after that whole concert, 3 weeks ago, where the CEO got busted with the director of HR.
Yeah. Well, if they wouldn't have hid,
yes.
If they would have just and then kept going, nothing would have came from it.
Yes. But it was the reaction.
Yes.
It's kind of like what happens before somebody steals something is they're in the store and they go, and that's the number, or that's like when somebody's going to tell a dirty joke or something, something isn't supposed to go well when somebody goes, okay. So,
well, you just need to, if you mess up, apologize and go move on. And I've done that forever when it comes to business. I always apologize, even if it's not our fault. I'd much rather just apologize and move forward because it's just easier.
Yes. But some people don't want to do that. I can't acknowledge that I did something wrong. It's like, why? I mean, now granted, I'm stubborn, so probably as stubborn as you are. So I don't always just fall on the sword.
I'm not stubborn.
Yeah. I know people who would disagree with you. One of them I might be married to.
My wife does not count because she is the most stubborn person I've ever known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
if you go look for the definition of stubborn, they say see Martian Parcaut.
That's funny. But I enjoy conversation. I like, help me understand other people's points of view. I don't have to agree at the end of the day, but I like hearing it. Like, explain to me why something is the way it is. And that's what I just wish people got curious again instead of defensive. And, I remember like growing up as a kid, I was raised Catholic, and there was neighbors who my sister was in the same grade as one of the kids, and they were a different religion, and they wouldn't let their daughter play with my sister because we were Catholic and they weren't. Yeah, and it's like, it's not contagious, and kids just want to be kids. And I do see that. I see that happen a lot where parents don't like each other, and so they won't let the kids play together. And it's like, you can drop your kid off. Why are you punishing your kid if you can't get along as adults? You should be able to suck it up. You don't have to go on vacation together. You don't have to go to the movies together. You don't have to spend time. You can drop a kid off and pick a kid up and not have to like each other, but some people can't get past that.
No. And that's what, and that's their life. They live it that way. But the most important thing is, again, especially in business, if you make a mistake, how do you recover from it? Right. And like you said, with the teams, with the ball thing, that was amazing. I feel sorry for that lady because that's going to be the costume for Halloween now.
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah, definitely. But that's, again, you never know what's going to go viral or what happens until it goes viral, and then you're like, oh my goodness, that went viral. Sorry, you cannot show your facing. You might want to go get a wig or change the color of your hair.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing is, it used to be, there was a phrase that said, just imagine as if there's always a camera following you around. Chances are now there is, because people are always filming something, always doing anything. And that's why optics is so important. Is you really have to think everything you do. Imagine when you're out in public, doesn't matter what you're doing, somebody's videoing something, because chances are somebody is. So it's interesting times we're living. Like there was a post the other day. You said, I'm glad I grew up in the 80s and 90s where every dumb thing I did wasn't recorded or captured. And it's true.
Yeah. And thank God paper decayed.
Yes. But it's funny too. We were having this conversation. Who was I talking? Oh, the group I spoke to in Colorado yesterday. It's interesting times. My daughter will FaceTime with a girl in another state, and they'll just play independently while they're both on the tablet talking to each other. And what's funny is growing up as a kid, we went in gangs, right? Like you knew who was at somebody's house because you saw the bikes like leaning on the grass out front. But there's a lot more one-on-one now because of technology stuff. Even when we go to the playground, so my daughter goes to the playground after school, and there's some they'll play in groups, but it's not the larger groups like it used to be. Now it seems like it's more one-on-one type of play. Maybe there's a third person to it, but it's not the same group mentality that we had growing up. So
well, they do more of their group stuff online on gaming and stuff like that. That's how they come together. Like my son will play with, so his old friends from down here, and he's in a totally different state. And so they're still constantly talking to each other every day as they play games. I'm like, okay, it's time to grow up, sir. Yeah, time to cut that gaming stuff down. And I'm thinking, when you have a kid, I'm sorry, that's gonna go for a while.
Yeah. Just different ages. Like, again, people are like, oh my gosh, technology tablets. It was just like when we got the Nintendo or the Atari, it was just technology and it occupied our time. It's just now you have to worry about, like, for example, if my daughter wants to play different games on the tablet, I have to think like, how do I lock it down and keep a pedophile out of it? Versus kids before, like if they sat in front of the TV or they sat and played video games, well, then it was just, they played video games. But now it's just so many things that you have to worry about as a parent with technology. It's just out there.
Yeah, but I have no idea about those game things you talk about because I was dirt road poor, so we didn't have that. Our game was, throw. Anyway, we were
cow patties.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We didn't have those luxuries, or I didn't have, which I'm not crying about. I made up for later on.
Right.
But yeah, I just
you got your toys later. Yeah.
But, I'm sorry, we've just been talking about stuff today and nothing major, but
it does come back to something like the branding. So let's go back to the baseball thing. That lady's brand is ruined, right, for the rest of her life. It just like there's people.
Well, if she would have apologized,
yes,
then even after the fact,
people off.
It's just like the kid, the person who stole the hat from the kid.
Yeah.
Or was that tennis or something like that? Or
it was at the US Open. Yeah.
He later came back and apologized, but I mean, yes, that helps. Now people, at least he's apologized. That Karen lady is not, and I feel sorry for Karens everywhere.
We have Karen Gray who lives here in Dallas, and we've had her on before. She's the nicest one. So I'm like, you're the least Karen I know, but you do feel bad for anybody who has that name because it's a built-in joke.
Yeah. Why? And I had never heard it until the last couple of years. So
oh, there's on Instagram, Karen's Gone Wild, and it's just everybody going off. There's something I haven't watched that. There used to be one called Influencers in the Wild. I have to try and find that one again, but that's why I say, like, there's always somebody videoing and watching, and so you have to think of everything that way, no matter where you are. And even if you don't think anybody knows who you are, it doesn't matter. Like that with that lady, that what happened at the baseball game, like the internet went out to find who she was and then said, here's what she does. And I can't imagine the hate mail that she's getting. And I'm not siding with her. I'm not siding against her or anything, but to your point, like, did she do something stupid? Yes. Then of course the being defiant and then flipping off the cameras and everything else afterwards, definitely doubling down on it. It's not going to help her at all, but her brand is ruined. Because everywhere they go, now people are going to worry. Like, let's say, I think somebody said she's a school administrator or something like that.
Or was.
Yeah, was. What school's going to want to bring her on after that incident? Because they're going to be worried about what people are going to think if they I don't want my kid around her. So her brand is ruined now. So it is that whole thing. If you have to pretend like there's always a camera on you watching you 24/7.
Well, the feeling that you are owed whatever because it's yours,
right?
You saw it. Did you touch it? Did you grab it? No, it's whoever gets to it first, unless they're handing it to you, and then you take it from that person that it's getting handed to. That's a difference. And that's like the hat, but the ball. I mean, any ball that goes into the thing, it's the stands. Everybody scraps for it, and whoever comes up with it wins.
Well, here's where I could maybe see it. Now, stick with me on this. If it was an adult keeping it, but the minute that she saw it went to a kid, I would just back off. Like, all right, it is what it is. Doubling down.
I would have just let it. If I didn't get to it first, it's not. Then you beat me.
Yes, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it would have been bad enough if it was her to an adult, But when she saw that he got the ball for his kid, that's when she also should have backed off. Like, it never should have happened to begin with. But the minute that she saw that it was going to a kid and she's an adult, like, there's no win in going and doing what she did. And then, of course, like, again, she doubled down, flipped off the cameras, everything else. And that's just not a good way to go. So,
nope, not at all.
Yeah. But anywho, it's just been a weird week for things in the news. But it is funny now. Everybody who goes to any sporting event, any concert, you just have to think you never know if you're going to be on camera. People used to worry about being on the KISS camera. Now you have to be worried about being on the internet, and how long will that live on forever?
So, well, I mean, if you're dumb enough to have an affair and go to these types of events,
public places,
yeah, you're dumb enough to get caught, period.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't condone it, but it's like, are you stupid? You know?
It's there's a new Instagram channel. I have to find it again, but it's like Snooper app or something. I don't know. I ran across it the other day. And this guy is blowing up because what he does is he does street style interviews, and he stops couples and he's like, hey, by the way, I have this software that checks all the different dating apps at one time. And so they'll stop couples and say, hey, can we put your names in? And they're like, yeah. And it turns out, like, of course, it's all for shock video, but one of the two has a secret profile on Hinge or Tinder or whatever any of those dating apps are. And of course, it causes a whole big scene and fights break out and stuff like that. But that's what captures people's attention, is we like, sadly, conflict and see what's going on with other people. And it's just an interesting world we live in. And it started with the news, right? We started watching car chases and everything else, but we've gone away from looking at happy stuff to we want to see how horrible other people's lives are, or what are people getting busted for. And
yeah, but see, I don't really want, myself personally, I see that too much. I mean, it's just like Don Lemon was walking around the other day and he was interviewing people on the street, and the guy's like, you're a bunch of different things he said to him. Yeah. But that's, but why do we need, I don't think we need to see, let's just move on. Agreed. And that's what we need to do. We all need to get back to moving on. And I just hope from these tragedies this week that something comes from it.
Yes. That we start pulling back together instead of trying to tear people apart. Agreed.
Right. It was supposed to have happened after Trump was almost assassinated, right? But they just people couldn't help themselves. And that, then you have Steve Scalise. He was shot, and that happened that people came together at that time, but they didn't stay together. It's the political bullshit and that's why I think I hate parties. Yeah, and I don't mean going to parties. I don't mind that, but the party,
the divisiveness of it.
Yeah, exactly. Mine's better than yours. I mean, football's one thing. We don't beat each other up. I mean, Raiders do, but that's the side point. I went to a Raider game once in Oakland. Luckily, I didn't bring my Denver Broncos stuff, but I watched when the security guards are afraid of the people in there. Then yeah.
Well, that's there's people who went to the Cowboys Eagles game in Cowboys gear, and I'm just like, that's dicey. I mean, you look at fans will beat up other fans over what they wear. And it's like, wait a minute, do you play for the teams? No, you're getting that upset because somebody else happens to like another team. I don't understand that.
You didn't have anything to do with it either. You weren't out on the field, and that's what I don't get. It's not, I mean, I've had years of not winning, and it doesn't mean that I beat people up and break the TV or whatever. Yeah. I can just stop watching.
I have buddies who their day is made or broken if their team wins or loses. I'm like, okay, I could understand, like you said, if you actually played for that team and it was, or you have some fun, like growing up in Dallas, when McDonald's came out with the Cowboys calendar, or not calendar, but poster, like we had to go to McDonald's that day and all. I get having a favorite team. I don't understand it making or breaking my day. That's like me watching a movie, which I have no control over, and being upset or sad based on the ending of the movie and letting it ruin my day. It makes zero sense to me. I wasn't raised with dad who's really big into sports, so I'm not big into sports, but I watch it and I'm just, it doesn't make sense to me. So.
Oh, I'm supposed to be on a podcast today and I'm thinking about rescheduling it. Well, and I feel bad about it. Just got so much going on today. I got so many deliveries. I mean, I know, wham, but it's just one of those days that is just weird. What is today? That's till 11th.
Thursday, 11th. That reminds me, I got to pay a bill. So yeah, let's just wrap it up for today. We'll get back next week on Tuesday. You want to take us out?
Nope. Yeah, I'll take it out. I got it. All right. I appreciate everybody being here. Thank you, Brian, for being here. I appreciate you for being here. If it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't do this show. We'll be back on Tuesday, and we're here Tuesdays and Thursdays. Usually we have a joker on Thursdays, but sometimes they cancel, other things come up, and we understand that. And again, thanks for being here, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye, Ray.
Bye.